Welcome to Mellow Parenting Pod or Mellow Pod. I'm Rachel Tainsh. I'm the International and Programme Lead for Mellow Parenting. And Mellow Parenting is an NGO. We're a training organisation. We're based in Glasgow in Scotland, and we're involved in researching, developing, evaluating and implementing relationship-based early intervention and training programmes. And today I'm really delighted to welcome Irina, who works for Partnership for Every Child in Moldova. And Irina is a project manager for Partnership, but she also is a Mellow trainer. And we've known each other for a number of years since my first visit to Moldova, probably back in around 2015, something like that.
Maybe. We had a training in 2016.
2016, yeah.
First training.
Yeah. So welcome to Irina, and in our discussion today we're going to be covering a number of themes. We're going to be thinking really micro themes, thinking about parent-child relationships, but we're also going to be thinking about some of the wider themes that are affecting Moldova and the context of parenting, and Moldova very much being in between Romania and Ukraine and the wider conflict that's going on at the moment. So we're going to be thinking about that. But to start with, we're going to ask Irina a more personal question. And Irina, I'm just wondering for you to start off with, what was a significant relationship for you in your childhood? Who was important to you growing up?
Hi, Rachel. It is a real pleasure to be with you today and to have this conversation. If thinking about my childhood and my significant relationship, I would say that, of course, this is my family, but in particular, I think my father has played a significant role in supporting me. And unfortunately, I lost my father when I was in my 20s, and I really miss him. So, and I really kind of, I'm thinking that haven't, received, the support I could have received, if I in a different, context. And at the same time, I'm thinking that I couldn't manage to give him enough, affection that I could have, thinking backwards. But, my father, he was a real buffer for me. In my childhood.
Have you got one memory that you can think of you and your dad that sort of sticks out to you from your childhood? Something you did together, or?
My dad, he was always, getting myself ready for school, being there for me, giving helping me with my hair, done, and brushing my hair, and, always joking about these sorts of things. And at the same time, telling stories about different stuff. So it was really kind of, these are the memories that stick to my mind. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Irina, I know that you've been working in Moldova for a number of years, maybe over 20 years, in the context of de-institutionalisation. It's quite a mouthful to say that. Could you explain to us a little bit what DI is and how you've been involved?
Right. Okay, I'll try. So de-institutionalization, or DI work that Partnership for Every Child has been doing over 25 years already. It's about reforming, closing down, or reorganizing big, large-scale institutions that we've inherited from the Soviet era. So we used to have, at the beginning of 90s, we used to have over 13,000 children in institutions for our country, which is tiny. It used to be around 4 million people. This number is huge. And so our organization with partners, we engaged in this reform, taking out children from institutions, but not just moving them. This is not just about physical, taking them out and put them into families. This is a complex approach. This is a complex process of thinking about the reform on a institutional context, and a relationship context, at the community context everywhere. So it's about changing the policies, changing legislation. It's about developing services for children. Those children who could be reintegrated were reunited with their families, but with the complex support that could be provided to the families. And children who obviously came back to them, and also provide alternative family type care to the children who unfortunately were not able to be reunited with their families. And we're talking about foster care, different types of foster care for these children. It's also about the informational system, tracking system of what's happening to these children, and how we can provide and track some risks. So this is a very very complex issue that we are talking about. And now we have had a lot of progress in DI. So if comparing to the 90s, where we had, as I said, over 13,000 children, now it's under 1,000 children in institutional care. However, now we are facing challenges because the kids who are in institutional care are with additional needs, with severe disabilities, and we, as a state, we need to think about how to reform these institutions in terms of how to provide the care, adequate, appropriate care for children with additional needs.
So a big change over a number of years, over a 20-year period, seeing the number of children in institutional care going down, but still challenges remaining, particularly in relation to children with additional needs and disabilities. And I suppose one of the things that's interesting for us to talk about is why are institutions bad for children? What is it? Both of us have seen tiny babies going into big institutions where there's maybe 20 babies in a room, two caregivers. I mean, of course, those babies are not going to get their needs met, but I'm just wondering about the impact of institutions on people's life course. What does it mean for a child growing up in institutional care? What kind of challenges will they face in terms of their development and their relationships going forward?
Yes, you're right, Rachel. The impact of institutionalization is devastating for children, and moving towards the adulthood. Yeah, and it's been proved already that there are negative effects on physically. However, the more devastating negative effects are in terms of their emotional development, how they are unable to form relationships when they are, in their childhood and in adulthood, of course, when they are traumatized, and they cannot rely on people, they cannot have trust in people, they cannot have trust in themselves, and they cannot be empathetic. So all these things that end up in this people becoming or either alcohol addicts, drug addicts, criminals, or just miserable people, not being able to form a family, and have a happy life.
And I know that you've been involved in supporting young people who've come out of the care system and maybe have very few life skills, and you've been kind of supporting them to kind of integrate into the community and to get those relationships. But I think both of us have seen how difficult that is at this later stage, whereas we really see the importance of early intervention, don't we, of trying to get in early. And I think that's one of the things that we've been both thinking about, is how to get children back to families. And the thing that we know about institutional care is that most of the children do actually have families or some sort of wider family context. It's not like they're true orphans, they're social orphans. And I wonder if you want to say a little bit about that there are families out there.
When we started the process of de-institutionalization, we found out that there are I may be mistaken, but the majority of children, like over 80%, they had parents, alive parents. So, and it was about the reasons for their institutionalization were mostly poverty, or sometimes even things like, they're not succeeding at school. And, if, for example, the teachers decided that they were not okay with the school program, they should be moved to an institution like this. And the parents were were made to think, that institutions are better for their children. Yes, so for the children that maybe are not that well at school or something like this, or maybe they cannot be provided by their families because of poverty and other factors. So all these things affected or kind of contributed, encouraged children's placement in institutions. As you said very justly, the earlier the child is placed in institutions, the more negative or devastating effect institutionalization has on its development, on the child's development. So as we as an NGO organization that is working in this field, we are committed to preventing children's institutionalization and preventing their separation from their families. And in this way, we are trying to provide preventative services and programs, and which, like Mellow, is one of these programs that could, be there as an early intervention measure to strengthen family links, to strengthen their relationships in order to prevent this separation.
Yeah. And certainly the work that I've been involved in Central Asia, in Tajikistan, we've been using Mellow Parenting in the context of family reunification, so supporting families who've maybe placed children in an institution, using Mellow groups to help build that bond, to build that relationship between the parent and child as a preparation for the child kind of returning home. And that's worked very well in that context. And I suppose very much you've been looking at it more in a preventative agenda. So maybe we could talk a little bit about what it's been like to develop Mellow Parenting in Moldova. We've been working on this for, again, quite a few years now. What changes have you seen? How has it been? How's it been accepted culturally? How have the groups been working? What's it been like?
Yes, and just as you said about Tajikistan, I can say that in Moldova we also covered the work on family reunification and using, let's say, Mellow in this way, to support families get links with their children. So we have had some groups with moms and their babies who have been placed in institutions, and they were reunited with their moms. So, but what I would like to emphasize is that, of course, this is a very kind of supportive way. I mean, using Mellow in this context. However, what I saw is that the effects of DI are so negative that it's much more harder to repair than to prevent. Mm-hmm. So in this way, prevention is a key. Is key towards strong relationships, strong families. And in Moldova, we started Mellow in 2016, and so we looked at having the practitioners from the social work field. So those who are involved and engaged with families, working with families, like in a family support service, so that they could provide like additional support through mellow parenting. And we've had a serious number of trainings with mellow parenting, and then engaged in work with a number of local authorities, social work departments, and these practitioners from social work departments, they've had a number of groups. I can't remember how many groups already. So we've already covered more than 300 parent and children couples already. Yes, and babies and toddlers. And we could see that although the beginning was quite challenging, I mean, in terms of like skepticism, yeah, of what can this program do, you know, because in our country, in our mentality, the support groups are not that developed, and it is very important to be able to engage with parents in the first place in order for them to take part, in the group, yeah, at the very beginning. But then once they are there, you know, they open up. They can see there's no threat. You know, there's no like lecturing or something like this. This is about sharing their experience, you know, being there, you know, providing support and trusting relationships. And this is really, really helpful. And they really understand that mutual support is so important.
And I think in the context of Mellow, you know, thinking about our own childhoods as well as parents, and thinking about how that's impacting on our parenting now. And it also makes me think about, you know, when we were talking about the adolescents, the young people who are growing up in institutional care, and actually that healing from trauma happens within the context of relationship and an environment of relationship. And that's really what we're trying to do in Mellow groups, isn't it? Through that peer support. So relationships with each other, but also kind of thinking about our relationships with our family from our childhood and then our own children now. So there's lots of different ways that we talk about how important relationships are.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and this like reflection upon ourselves, our childhood, and how we were parented. Well, it does help parents to be able to kind of break this, you know, intergenerational cycle. Well, I could mention is just about the fact that our childcare system is relatively new.
Yeah.
I mean, and social work, because social work as a profession has also been quite new, just for 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And we don't have this, you know, diverse and well-established like range of services for children, you know, and families.
Yeah.
So Mellow is one of those, you know, very hands-on, yes, like programs that provides real support to families, apart from like some counseling and financial benefits that they are given. So yeah, the Mellow group that we are running at the moment is at the border.
Yeah.
Yes. However, you know, the parents, moms that we have, they're not refugees. I mean, they're all Moldovans, but they are of course affected by, you know, the flow of the refugees there.
Okay, Irene, so we've talked about a number of things, and thinking a little bit about relationship-based early intervention. And I suppose one of the things that we're thinking about is, how does an organisation based in Glasgow come and work in partnership with you, in Partnership for Every Child in Moldova? You know, how has that been? What is the relevance of what Mellow's doing and what we can bring to you? And I suppose I'm thinking just at the moment of you're running a group in Moldova at the moment on the Ukrainian border. Moldova is in between Ukraine and Romania. I'm just wondering about this sort of wider context of parenting.
Right. Okay. Let's start with the fact why an organization from Glasgow ended up kind of working with with an NGO and with local authorities in Moldova. Uh, well, social work field, yes, and childcare, let's say, field is quite new for Moldova. I mean, it's like been over maybe just 20 years that we've had qualified social workers, being prepared at the universities, maybe not even 20 years, maybe less even. The system that we've had before, it was just institutions for children, and some like benefits for families and children, and that's it. So social work, as it's like a childcare, as it in the modern understanding, is quite new, and we've always since we started, working on DI, on childcare reform, we have always wanted to learn, from the best practice, best experience, yes, international experience. So in this way, we've come across different, practices from the different countries in Europe, including the United Kingdom, UK, and in this way, we came across Mellow Parenting as an early intervention program that is like perfect, is fit in the prevention services for strengthening families. Like providing hands-on, very non-judgmental, but at the same time very efficient support, peer support as well to the parents in their like parenting roles, let's say, yeah. The Mellow groups that we are running, they are built in this way, in the way of mutual peer support, and not being, again, I'm repeating, but this is very important, of not being judgmental and being there equally with the parents. The practitioners or facilitators, Mellow facilitators, they are there to share their own experiences as well with the parents, and be there for them just as a sort of a guide, but not as a, I don't know, lecturer or somebody providing information or, I don't know, consultation, let's say. So I can share some experience that I've had with the current group that I run with my colleagues. This is a group of Mellow Toddlers group. We have 7 parents with 7 toddlers. The Mellow group is run in a locality which is situated at the border with Ukraine, because Moldova is between Ukraine and Romania, and we are running a group there, just at Palanka locality, which is a very like next to the border with Ukraine, and many refugees now in this period have crossed, the border there at this point, really. And this point, or this locality, this is very close to like obviously Ukraine, and they could experience some of the, like, I don't know, effects of the war as well. It's like bombing, hearing explosions there, and when we were talking with the parents about their hopes and fears, the hope that they've all mentioned, which is not particularly, associated with parenting and Mellow parenting and their relationship with children, but indirectly, there is a connection. They all have shared that they wanted peace. So peace is fundamental for their well-being, for the well-being of their children, for them being able to have like good relationship with their kids and provide for them.
So, Irina, I'm thinking back to that first training that we came and did in 2016. And I think all of us were wondering, well, how is, the parenting programme from Scotland going to translate to the context in Moldova? We had some concerns about that. We wanted to make sure that actually it was culturally relevant, and we wanted to be open to be thinking about that. And I think we were actually pleasantly surprised about how well it did cross cultures. But I wonder if you'd like to say something about that, and any things that you felt we needed to sort of work on in terms of bringing it into a new situation.
Yes, I think that mellow parenting is based on universal principles. And of course, maybe some of the ways of working, methods of working are new, but it doesn't mean that they cannot be, that they're not accepted, culturally. Yeah. So as it turned out, all of the, like methods and activities that we were using, they were all received very well. I didn't create any challenges at all, because these are the things that are very straightforward and very friendly. And this is universal, about talking about relationship, about links, about connection, attachment, talking about our families, doing some things, activities with our children together, and also even providing video feedback. Yes, this is new. But it's not that it is something that it cannot be accepted. Yeah. Yes, I mean, as I said, in terms of engaging with parents, doing this preparation work with parents and professionals is important. It is important to prepare them and to provide with exhaustive information about what it is about, what we expect, what the objectives are, what the outcomes are. This is for the professionals, both for professionals and parents. Yeah, this is an important part of the work that needs to be done before Mellow starts.
And there's something in that about levelling the power, isn't there? The non-expert approach about coming alongside rather than doing to, and being willing to kind of let go of some of your kind of professional competence, or what would be your perceived competence, just to kind of be there with people and to bring your own experience as a professional can be quite challenging if you've been kind of taught to have barriers, and and it's trying to sort of work that out. So what should I be like as a facilitator in this context, and how can I do that with authenticity and integrity? And I think that's challenging, because as professionals we do have to come out of that role, and we do have to remind ourselves, that we're coming as human beings to support other human beings, but at the same time we do have a role in facilitating the group. So it's a challenging balance to manage.
It is a challenging balance to manage, and not all professionals can overcome this barrier. Unfortunately, we've had some experiences, like not so positive experiences among the professionals that couldn't overcome this barrier. But this is how it works. Not everybody can do that. Yeah. So and here in this in this program, it is really about being there as a human being first of all, and not being afraid of being on at the same level with the parents, and understanding that everybody makes mistakes, and being there for them. We are there here to understand them and to be able to provide support.
Irina, I'd like to say thank you to you for joining me today. It's been great to talk about so many things, and we'd love to invite you back again in the future to talk more. So
Thank you very
goodbye.
much.